The girl at the Continental Hotel. Can I play for food? The voice, high and uncertain, cut across the elegant chatter in the grand ballroom of the Continental Hotel. Conversations froze. Champagne glasses paused mid-air. A dozen finely dressed faces turned toward the entrance, where a 12-year-old black girl stood clutching a worn backpack against her chest, as if it were a shield. Amelia Washington's eyes were locked on the gleaming Steinway grand piano beneath the crystal chandeliers. Her clothes, baggy jeans, and a faded hoodie clashed with the designer gowns and tuxedos around her. Yet she stood unflinching, her gaze steady. "Good Lord," muttered a platinum blonde woman, pressing her glass tight. "Where is security?" This was no ordinary gala. It was a high-profile charity fundraiser for underprivileged youth. The irony wasn't lost on Amelia, who had spent the past week sleeping in different shelters across Manhattan. Passing the hotel earlier that evening, she had seen a flyer for the event, and something inside her had driven her to step through those gilded doors. At the center of the commotion strode Victoria Sterling, heiress, philanthropist, and organizer of the evening. At 45, Victoria was the embodiment of New York's social elite, poised, educated, absolutely convinced of her own moral superiority. "Sweetheart," she said. Her tone dipped in condescension. "This is not your place. There's a McDonald's 2 blocks away. I just want to play," Amelia said, her voice firmer now. "One song, for a plate of food." Laughter rippled across the crowd. Someone quipped, "She probably doesn't even know where Middle C is." Another shook her head in mock pity. Amelia did not flinch, her quiet dignity unsettled more than a few onlookers. From the back of the hall, Dr. Robert Kuhn, world-renowned pianist and guest judge for the upcoming National Piano Competition, observed closely. He noticed the way Amelia's eyes lingered on the instrument, not with curiosity, but recognition. "Perhaps we should let her play, Doctor," Kuhn said softly. "Isn't this about helping young talent?" Victoria's laugh was sharp, crystalline, cruel. "Robert, be serious. Children like this don't have access to proper training. It's impossible." What Victoria didn't know was that Amelia had spent the first 8 years of her life in a home filled with music. Her grandmother, Betty Washington, a classically trained pianist who never got the recognition she deserved because of her race, had been her first and only teacher. When Betty died, Amelia was swept into the foster system. The music never left her, but the piano did. 4 years, she carried melodies in her head, playing invisible keyboards on the air when no real one was near. Victoria's eyes gleamed as an idea struck. She lived for spectacles, especially when they put her at the center. "Fine," she announced. "You can play, but with conditions." The crowd leaned in. "You'll play only one piece. Well, choose which. If you play decently, I'll buy you dinner. If you fail, which we all know you will, you leave immediately and stop bothering decent people. Deal?" Amelia's heartbeat pounded. Her grandmother's words whispered in her memory. "When they try to belittle you, let the music speak." "I accept," she said. Victoria's gaze landed on a smug lounge pianist nearby. "James, what piece should our prodigy attempt?" James smirked. "How about Beethoven's F.R. Elise?" The choice earned chuckles. It was the most common beginner's piece in the world, but playing it flawlessly required years of technical discipline. Perfect for a public downfall. Amelia walked calmly to the piano. Each step carried a quiet determination that made even skeptics uneasy. She adjusted the bench knot with the fumbling of a child, but with precise motions of someone who knew exactly how it should be done. "Doctor." Chun's pulse quickened. When her fingers touched the keys, it was like electricity. The first notes rang out, clear and confident, slicing through the ballroom. Conversations died instantly. Champagne flutes froze midair. There was no hesitation, no amateur wobble. This was not a girl fumbling through YouTube tutorials. This was mastery. She played with breathtaking control, her phrasing delicate, her tempo unwavering, every pedal pressed with the care of a seasoned artist. But beyond the technical perfection was something rarer, soul. Each phrase carried a maturity that belied her age. The music breathed with longing, triumph, and sorrow. The room fell into a spellbound silence. Even waiters stood motionless, entranced. Victoria's smug expression faltered. This wasn't supposed to happen. What she had staged as a cruel humiliation was unraveling into something she couldn't control. Dr. Kuhn, his eyes wide, whispered. Impossible. His 30 years of judging pianists told him one thing. Amelia wasn't just talented, she was extraordinary. As the piece soared through its cascading arpeggios, Amelia was no longer a hungry girl begging for food. She was an artist commanding her rightful stage. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. Music doesn't see color, or wealth, or privilege. It only knows truth. The final chord faded into a silence so absolute that even the chandeliers seemed to hold their breath. Amelia lifted her hands, let them hover above the keys, then lowered them gently to her lap. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Dr. Kuhn began to clap slow, deliberate, reverent. One by one, the crowd joined, until the hall thundered with applause. Amelia sat quietly, allowing the ovation to wash over her like rain after a drought. Victoria's face had gone pale. Her plan had not only failed, it had backfired spectacularly. The girl she had sought to ridicule had revealed genius in front of New York's most influential audience. Dr. Kuhn approached the piano. "Child," he said softly, "who taught you?" "My grandmother," Amelia replied. "Betty Washington. She told me music was the one thing one could take away." Gasps rippled through the room. Betty Washington was a legend in music circles, a prodigy denied entrance to top conservatories in the 1960s because of her skin color. She had become one of the most revered private teachers in the country, shaping dozens of great musicians. "You're Betty's granddaughter, Dr. Kuhn whispered, shaken. Amelia nodded. Victoria tried to interject, her voice brittle. "None of this changes the fact that she came here begging." Amelia stood. For the first time that night, she wasn't just a child asking permission. She carried herself with the dignity of a performer who had earned her place. "You're right about one thing, Mrs. Sterling," Amelia said, her voice steady. "I don't belong here tonight. I belong on a bigger stage. Next week, I'll be performing at Carnegie Hall. I'm the youngest pianist ever accepted into Juilliard's Young Artists program. And I came here because I wanted to see how people who claim to support underprivileged youth would really treat one." The revelation detonated in the ballroom. Murmurs turned to stunned silence. Phones appeared in hands. Some already recognized Amelia's name. She had recently been featured in a PBS special about hidden talent in America's foster system. Victoria staggered, her carefully crafted image crumbling. She had tried to expose a fraud. Instead, she had revealed her own cruelty. Amelia picked up her backpack, slinging it over her shoulder. "My grandmother taught me that dignity isn't about money or status," she said, her gaze sweeping the hall. "It's about how we treat others when we think no one is watching." She left the stage without waiting for permission. The applause swelled again, not just for her performance, but for the truth she had spoken. Dr. Kuhn's eyes followed her, a mixture of awe and certainty. This was no ordinary child. This was a phenomenon, and in that glittering hall, filled with privilege and pretense, Amelia Washington had proven something undeniable. Greatness can come from anywhere.